There are two types of people in this world, those who find reasons and those who find results. Every excuse you make is a brick laid on the path to regret. The problem with excuses is they sound best to the person making them. But life doesn't reward good-sounding excuses. It rewards effort, discipline, action. Excuses are subtle. They dress up like logic. They sound like wisdom. I'm too tired. I don't have enough time. I'm not ready yet. Maybe next year. These phrases are the chains that hold people back from the future they were born to live. You have dreams. You have goals. But here's the truth. You either have excuses or you have results. You can't have both. Every excuse steals a piece of your potential. It delays growth. It delays greatness. It delays everything you want. Think of the most successful people. They had the same hours in the day, the same fatigue, the same distraction, but what they didn't have was a tolerance for excuses. They did what needed to be done, even when it wasn't easy. Especially when it wasn't easy. There's a reason why some people get ahead and others stay stuck. It's not always talent. It's not always resources. Many times it's the ability to say, I won't accept my own excuses anymore. It's time to look yourself in the mirror and ask, how long will I keep postponing the life I truly want? Because the more you allow excuses, the more you give away your power. And when you give away your power, your future becomes a matter of chance, not choice. Want better health? Stop excusing bad habits. Want more income? Stop excusing lazy routines. Want to be more fulfilled? Stop excusing the fear of change. Discipline will carry you where motivation cannot. Commitment will get you through days when nothing feels easy. But first, you have to stop letting excuses take the wheel. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, it's going to be inconvenient. But so is regret. So is mediocrity. So is watching someone else live the life you wish you had. The moment you stop lying to yourself with excuses is the moment you start making room for progress. You don't need a better opportunity. You need a better attitude. You don't need more time. You need to take back the time you've been wasting. Your future self is depending on you. The version of you that's strong, stable, fulfilled, it's waiting on the other side of the excuses you keep making today. Stop explaining away your delay. Stop sugarcoating procrastination. Stop making comfort your God. Excuses are comfortable today, but costly tomorrow. And success is uncomfortable today, but rewarding forever. So make the decision. No more excuses. Just action. Just effort. Just daily, deliberate growth. That's how you take your future back. You can make excuses or progress, but not both. That's the bottom line. It's a simple truth, but one that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. See, life doesn't hand you what you want. It hands you what you're willing to work for. And in the moment, when you're faced with a choice, take action or make an excuse. You're not just choosing what to do that day, you're choosing who you're becoming. Excuses are easy. That's why people love them. They don't require effort, they don't require sacrifice, and they definitely don't require responsibility. You don't need to wake up earlier or stay up later to make excuses. You don't need to fight through fear or stretch your limits. All you need is a sentence that justifies why you stayed the same. I'm too busy. It's not the right time. I don't have the resources. These are not reasons. They are exits. Emergency exits from the discomfort of discipline. And every time you take one, you step a little further from the life you were meant to build. Progress, on the other hand, demands something from you. It asks for your consistency. It asks for your courage. It asks you to step forward even when the path isn't perfect. And here's the truth. The path will never be perfect. The conditions will never be ideal. If you're waiting for the stars to align, you'll be waiting your whole life. You don't get progress by waiting. You get it by doing. Now, it's not that successful people don't face challenges. It's not that they don't feel fear or pressure or uncertainty. The difference is they've made a decision. No matter what happens, no matter what obstacle comes their way, They won't fall back on excuses. They'll find a way forward. They'll learn, adjust, and keep going. That mindset changes everything. Because once you stop giving yourself a way out, you find a way through. Once you decide that excuses are off the table, your mind starts searching for solutions instead of escape routes. Your time becomes more valuable. Your focus sharpens. You stop negotiating with your comfort zone and you start showing up with intention. But that takes honesty. You have to get real with yourself. Ask the hard questions. Are you really too busy? Or are you mismanaging your time? Are you truly not ready? Or are you scared of failing? Are you genuinely lacking resources? Or are you lacking creativity and resourcefulness? You see, most excuses are not based on fact, they're based on fear. And the longer you feed your fear, the longer you starve your future. Excuses protect the ego, but destroy the destiny. They let you feel good for a moment, but rob you of long-term satisfaction. Think about it. How many dreams have died at the hands of someday? How many goals have been buried under when the timing is better? Progress doesn't wait. Opportunity doesn't knock forever. And life doesn't pause just because you're unsure. You're either moving forward or you're standing still with a list of reasons that will mean nothing 5 years from now. No one looks back and feels proud of the excuse they made, but they do remember the day they stopped making them. You don't need more motivation. You need to raise your standard. Decide today that your life will be defined by your results, not your rationalizations. Make a personal vow. No more excuses. No more stories. Just action. You'll be amazed what starts changing when you change your language from I can't to I must. From I'm trying to I'm doing. From one day to day one. The truth is this: excuses are comforting, but they are costly. They don't just delay your goals, they destroy them, slowly and silently. But when you choose progress instead, everything opens up. You gain momentum. You build confidence. You start stacking wins, one decision at a time. So make your choice. You can make excuses or you can make progress, but not both. One leads to comfort. The other leads to greatness. Choose wisely. Excuses are lies dressed in logic. That's one of the greatest dangers in personal growth. They don't sound like lies. They sound reasonable. They sound intelligent. They wear a suit and carry a briefcase. They walk into your mind like they belong there, but underneath all that formality is a quiet destruction that's robbing you of progress. See, the reason excuses are so effective is because they're rarely outrageous. Nobody wakes up and says, I won't chase my dreams because I don't care. No, they say, I'm too tired, or I don't have the time, or it's not the right season. And that's where the damage begins. Because now the lie doesn't feel like a lie, it feels like common sense. And that kind of deception is far more dangerous than an obvious falsehood. When we tell ourselves we're too busy to work on our goals, it sounds mature. When we say we'll start later, it sounds like wisdom. When we justify procrastination with long, intelligent-sounding reasons, we feel smart, not stuck. But let me tell you, logic doesn't move your life forward. Action does. And excuses, no matter how beautifully worded, don't produce change. They just delay it. You know what the real tragedy is? People build their entire identities around excuses. They take these polished lies and make them part of who they are. I'm just not a morning person. I've always had bad luck. That kind of success isn't for people like me. And over time, they don't even see these statements as excuses. They see them as truth. They stop challenging them. They stop questioning whether they're still valid. And slowly, their potential dies behind a wall of logic. But here's the thing. Life doesn't reward logic. It rewards results. It doesn't matter how convincing your excuse sounds. Your body still feels the weight of being unhealthy. Your bank account still reflects missed opportunities. Your relationships still suffer from lack of effort. Excuses might soothe your ego, but they do nothing for your future. Now, why do we make excuses? Because they're easier than change. They offer comfort. They remove pressure. They give us a sense of safety without demanding growth. But comfort is not the same as peace, and safety is not the same as success. The cost of an excuse is paid over time, in missed chances, in wasted years, in dreams left unrealized. The good news is, once you see an excuse for what it is, a dressed-up lie, you can challenge it. You can ask, is this really true, or is this just easier to believe? Most of the time, the obstacle is not what we think it is. It's not time, it's priorities. It's not resources, it's resourcefulness. It's not ability, it's belief. And if you keep hiding behind logic, you'll never uncover the power within you to change your story. You don't need more logic, you need more honesty. And honesty doesn't always feel good, but it's what frees you. It's what forces you to admit that you could have started yesterday, that you can find an hour in your day, that you are capable of more than you've been telling yourself. When you strip away the logic and get to the raw truth, that's where the breakthrough happens. Let me say something clearly. The most powerful people in the world are not excuse-free. They just don't believe them anymore. They still hear the same mental chatter, the same doubts, the same clever logic trying to hold them back. But they've trained themselves to act anyway. That's the key. Action, not argument. Progress, not perfection. Every time you act in spite of your excuse, you weaken its grip. Every time you challenge a false belief with honest action, you reclaim a piece of your potential. And that's how transformation happens. Not in grand speeches, not in flawless logic, but in the decision to move forward despite every reason not to. So remember, excuses may sound smart, but they're thieves. They rob you silently. They convince you to settle. They disguise fear as reason and laziness as limitation. But you're not limited. You're not stuck. You're not out of options. You're just one honest decision away from real change. Excuses are lies, and they only win when you believe them. Discipline is the antidote to excuse making. It's that simple. When excuses show up, and they always do, discipline is what shuts the door. It doesn't argue. It doesn't debate. It just moves forward. See, excuses are clever. They're charming. They speak your language. They know exactly how to convince you that today's not the day, that conditions aren't quite right, that you'll be more ready tomorrow. But tomorrow comes with the same distractions, the same doubts, the same reasons to delay. And that's where discipline steps in, not with emotion, not with motivation, but with quiet, consistent action. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It's not looking for inspiration. It's rooted in principle, not preference. And that's why it works. Feelings change, conditions shift, but discipline remains. You can't build anything lasting if you rely on your mood. Because there will be days when you don't feel like doing what needs to be done. Days when your energy is low, your confidence is shaky, your mind is distracted. That's normal. That's human. But if your actions are tied to those emotions, your results will be inconsistent. And inconsistency kills momentum. Discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement. You don't need a brilliant strategy. You don't need more talent. You need follow-through. You need the ability to say, I said I would, so I will, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. Excuses ask for sympathy. Discipline demands responsibility. Excuses say, give me a break. Discipline says, give me a plan. And here's the truth. Every excuse you make today becomes a regret tomorrow. But every disciplined decision you make today becomes a foundation for something better. Think about the people you admire. They didn't get where they are by finding more excuses. They got there by committing to a standard and sticking to it. They worked when it wasn't popular. They prepared when no one was watching. They chose the path of effort over the path of ease. Because discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when no one else is clapping. It's waking up early when the bed feels warm. It's saying no to distractions when everyone else is giving in. It's pushing past tired, past bored, past uncomfortable, because you've trained your mind to serve your vision, not your feelings. Excuses will always offer you a shortcut. Discipline will build the road. One leads to nowhere. The other leads to everything you want. Now, let's be honest. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not exciting. It doesn't show off. It's routine. It's repetition. It's choosing structure when chaos is easier. And that's why most people avoid it, because they'd rather look for a new idea than stick with the old plan. They'd rather chase novelty than commit to consistency. But consistency compounds. You don't have to make massive moves every day, just small, steady ones. That's what discipline looks like. And over time, it separates the wishful thinkers from the doers. The beautiful thing is, discipline is a skill. You're not born with it. You build it. Every time you follow through, you strengthen it. Every time you silence the excuse and do the work, you train your character. And eventually it becomes automatic. Not easier, but automatic, like brushing your teeth. You just do it because it's who you are now. Discipline doesn't just change your results. It changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You become someone who follows through, someone who's dependable, someone who finishes. And that change, that's the real prize. Because when you believe you can trust yourself, excuses lose their power over you. So if you've been stuck, if you've been circling the same mountain, ask yourself, am I disciplined or am I just motivated on occasion? Because motivation will get you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. And the future you want isn't waiting for a perfect day. It's waiting for a daily decision. No one drifts into success. You drive there. And discipline is the steering wheel. The moment you decide to lead your life with discipline, not excuses, you take back control. You silence the voice that says maybe later and replace it with a quiet, unshakable voice that says, let's go. Discipline is the quiet force that gets the job done. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it delivers every single time. Excuses talk, discipline acts. Choose discipline and watch your entire life change. Success requires responsibility, not justification. That's a principle that separates those who rise from those who stay stuck. You can justify your failures all day long. You can tell your story 100 different ways to make it sound like the odds were just too much. But here's the truth. No amount of explaining will ever bring success closer. Only responsibility will. Now, responsibility is a tough pill for most people to swallow because it means no more blaming, no more excuses, no more pointing fingers. It means looking in the mirror and saying, if it's going to change, it has to start with me. And that's a hard truth, but it's the beginning of transformation. People love to justify why they didn't start, why they didn't follow through, why they gave up. And they sound convincing too. They talk about how the market was bad, how the timing wasn't right, how someone else let them down. And you know what? Some of those things might even be true. But success doesn't respond to fairness. It responds to ownership. There's always going to be something you can blame, but as long as you're blaming, you're not building. As long as you're defending your position, you're not moving from it. That's the trap of justification. It gives you comfort, but it steals your power. Responsibility, on the other hand, is powerful. It says, maybe it wasn't my fault, but it is my future. It shifts the focus away from who did what and places it on what you're going to do next. That's where growth begins. And let me tell you, every successful person has had moments when it would have been easy to justify quitting, easy to justify a poor performance, easy to justify why they weren't further ahead, but they didn't take that route. They took responsibility. They asked, what can I learn? What can I change? What's in my control? And they acted on it. Responsibility doesn't mean everything will go your way. It means you'll keep going anyway. It means you own your response to life. You can't control every event, but you can control your effort. You can't always control the outcome, but you can control your attitude. That's responsibility. And over time, that's what success rewards. The temptation to justify is strong, especially when things go wrong. You want others to understand. You want them to see the hardship. But success doesn't hand out rewards for well-crafted explanations. It pays out based on persistence, discipline, and action. You don't get extra credit for having a tougher road. You get results from doing the work, no matter how hard the road was. Some people spend years building the perfect explanation for their lack of progress, while others spend that same time building progress. Now let's be clear. Responsibility doesn't mean self-blame. It doesn't mean you beat yourself up or carry guilt. It means you take full ownership of what you can control. Your choices, your reactions, your habits. That's where the magic is. When you accept responsibility, you gain freedom. Because now you're no longer waiting for someone else to fix it. You're no longer tied to the past. You're free to create, to improve, to take the next step. Justification keeps you stuck. Responsibility sets you in motion. You want to change your life? Start by changing your language. Replace "I can't because" with "I'll find a way to." Replace "they didn't" with "here's what I'm doing." Replace "it's not fair" with "I'll handle it anyway." That's the language of responsibility. That's the vocabulary of success. You don't need to be perfect to be successful. You just need to be responsible. You need to show up when it's tough. You need to stay focused when it's tempting to drift. You need to stop explaining your limitations and start acting on your possibilities. Every time you justify where you are, you delay where you could be. But every time you take responsibility, you take a step closer to the life you want. Responsibility is not a burden. It's a gift. It's what puts your future back into your own hands. And that's where success begins. Most people aren't held back by lack of time. They're held back by lack of commitment. That's the real truth. It's not the clock that's stopping you. It's not the calendar. It's not your job or your kids or your busy schedule. It's the level of seriousness you bring to your goals. Think about it. Everyone gets 24 hours in a day. The most successful people in the world don't get bonus hours. They don't have extra days in the week. They operate within the same time constraints as everyone else. So why do they get more done? Why do they grow faster, earn more, and achieve what most only dream about? It's because they've made a commitment and they follow through on it. They don't negotiate with their goals every morning. They don't wait to feel like it. They've already decided, and that decision drives their actions every single day. See, commitment is not about convenience. If you're only showing up when it's easy, you're not committed. You're interested.